Evolution is defined as the process of growth and development or the theory that organisms have grown and developed from past organisms. But to put it simply, evolution is the biological change in the characteristics of living organisms over time. Scientifically, evolution is caused by a threat or threats to inhabitants. Many theories have surfaced in the past as to what the real cause of evolution is, namely the theory of evolution by natural selection, adaptation, mutation, gene flow, and genetic drift. The theory of natural selection states that the evolution of inhabitants is caused as all creatures physically change and occasionally mutate. However, when a mutation occurs and an organism becomes superior to its predecessor, it is most likely to survive in the conditions it is forced to live in. Basically, if a creature mutates and surpasses its predecessor, it will be more likely to survive in the conditions it is forced to live in. The theory of evolution by adaptation is a theory that is strongly supported by Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection. The theory of adaptation is the adjustment or changes in behavior, physiology, and structure of an organism to become more suited to an environment. This means that an organism is able to adapt and become more suited to the environment, then it will survive. The theory of evolution by mutation states that a change in the sequence of one or more nucleotides in DNA can alter the structure of proteins or the regulation of protein production. In some cases, a mutation results in an organism possessing these altered traits to have a greater or less chance of surviving and reproducing in a given environment than other members of its species. The theory of gene flow is basically when genes are transferred from one population to another. Finally, the theory of genetic drift is defined as random changes in gene frequencies of a population from generation to generation. These are all possible causes for evolution, but can you imagine what the results of all these evolution methods will be in the next millennium or so?
Living and fossil organisms have been evolving since the beginning of Earth to now. The similarities between all present-day species shows the presence of our common ancestors, which all known species have branched off from through evolution. It is believed that all organisms descend from one universal ancestor, as it would be impossible for two or more species of ancestors to develop a common biochemical mechanism within all species. However, the lack of fossil evidence leads biologists to believe in two theories. Life spontaneously arose on Earth, or life was seeded from somewhere else in the universe. The earliest stages of animal life biologists have found were sea life. They are forms of jellyfish, hydras, and sea anemones. The earliest stages of land vertebrae evolved from ripidician fish. Human evolution began with the Hominidae family, which diverged from the gibbon family. The earliest stage of Homo genus were the Homo habilis, which evolved into the Homo erectus, and then they evolved into us, the Homo sapiens. The Homo genus started with the Hominidae and the Paranthropus, which are forms of monkeys and chimpanzees. Evolution is constantly changing our biochemical mechanisms every day, slowly leading us to the new future species to be formed.
Evolution has been changing humans for over millions of years. Evolution will keep changing us in the future. The only question is how it will change us. How will our bodies change to adapt to this new environment and new way of life? Our current way of life is very different to what it was when we first evolved. Our bodies have a number of functions that we do not need now, so evolution will change them or get rid of them. One of the most likely changes that can occur to humans is monoethnicity. Monoethnicity means there will just be one race, and all racial differences will disappear. The reasons for this is that the world has become very multicultural, and interracial marriages have become common. The result will be that humans will lose their distinguishing racial features, and through the process of natural selection, will take the best features from each race and combine them into one race. Another likely change that can occur is that humans will have a weakened immune system. The reasons for this is that humans are getting more and more dependent on medications. This change is already beginning now, as medication has become easily available. The full change of this effect will be shown thousands of years later, where humans will have to be dependent on medication to survive. No such thing as an immune system will exist, as humans will have no need for it. Your body will have no need to produce white blood cells or antibodies, because the body has no need for it if it has plenty of medication. Another possible change that occur to the human body is that humans will get physically weaker. The reasons for this is our reliance on technology to do the work that requires labor. The result will be that each generation will be less dependent on physical strength, and as a race will get weaker. Another change that has a high chance of occurring is increased height. Already this change has started. Over the past 100,000 years, the height of humans has been increased by 10 centimeters. It is likely that this trend will continue, and possibly even increase the rate of growth. The reason for this is the abundance of nutrition available to us from birth. The more the child eats, the more he or she will grow. As long as the human race has plenty to eat, we will continue to grow. Another likely change that has a good chance of occurring is the removal of wisdom teeth. The reason for this being is that we no longer need wisdom teeth, as we no longer eat hard plant material, which wisdom teeth are used for. Another possible change is the removal of the fifth toe. Before humans walked upright, our toes were used for grappling, like our hands. But now that we walk, we have no need for the fifth toe. Our other toes are used for balancing and walking, but the fifth toe serves no purpose. Therefore, we can expect humans to evolve into four-legged creatures. The changes I have talked about are only a small amount of the possible changes that can occur. We can only predict what the likely changes are and the reasons for this, but we will never know if they're correct.
The theory of evolution by mutation states that a change in the sequence of one or more nucleotides in DNA can alter the structure of proteins or the regulation of protein production. The only question is, how will it change us? How will our bodies change to adapt to this new environment and new way of life? One of the most likely changes that can occur to humans is monoethnicity. Another likely change that can occur is that humans will have a weakened immune system. Another possible change that can occur to the human body is that humans will get physically weaker. The changes that have been talked about are only a small amount of the possible changes that can occur. The similarities between all present-day species shows the presence of our common ancestors, which all known species have branched off from through evolution. To conclude, this is what our group believes that will happen to the evolution of man in the future.